And I guess the only other thing I really have a question about, before here is about source. Like I know we're extensions of source. I believe that source is, I don't know if I'm asking, is source something other than our inner being? And if so, does
Well,
source want worshipped by anyone?
no,
Oh, I know that sounds.
not any of that.
I mean,
Not any of that. Your inner being, because of law of attraction, is gathered together with many, many others. And that culmination of all of that, everyone who has ever been physically focused, and we're not saying that you have to be physically focused ever to be source, but we're saying everyone who has ever been physically focused, who has reemerged back into non-physical, is part of that source. And as they reemerge, they leave behind any resistance that they've picked up along their physical trail. So it's just this pure love and knowing and well-being. In the same way that our friend, we enjoyed the conversation so much, who wanted the approval of his father, source does not need or want your approval. Source just loves and therefore approves. The thing that is most uncomfortable for most people, when they are uncomfortable, this is the reason, they are looking at themselves or at someone else and having a knee-jerk reaction to what they're seeing, and not knowing that they have control over what they see, because they think that it's a done deal and that now they are just seeing it, and what it is what is, and they have no control over what they're seeing, and therefore they have no control over what is, and therefore they feel vulnerable, and therefore they feel defensive, and therefore they don't allow the love that is really them to flow. Did that sort of add up for you? When someone is having a hard time in their life experience and they want to love themselves more but are having a hard time doing it, we like to say to them, it's harder for you to love you than it is for you to love almost anybody else, because you've practiced not loving you more than everybody else. And the reason that you've practiced not loving you is because you've been expecting others to love you who weren't assigned to love you. You're running around the world trying to get somebody to love you, and when they don't, then you take it really personal, and then you start looking for flaws in yourself, and you develop these patterns of feeling deficient or flawed, which your inner being feels just the opposite about you. And so the more you do that, the worse you feel, and the more you do that, the worse you feel, and the worse you feel, the more you do that. It's sort of that sort of cycle. So that's one of the reasons that you enjoy hooking up with what we know about you, because as you listen to us long enough, you begin to feel the resonance of it. Then you're in a position where you can begin to make some conscious choices. The choice really has to start with how you want to feel. So then we say to that person who wants to love themselves, it'd be a whole lot easier if you would just love. Just look for positive aspects out there. Don't try to find them in yourself. They're harder to find in yourself because you've got beliefs that are kind of in the way of that. So yourself is not usually your path of least resistance to find a loving feeling about yourself, because you know everything about you. You didn't make your bed, you didn't study for that test, you were mean to that person when you didn't mean to be, you knew you were mean to that person when you did mean to be. In other words, you know everything about yourself, and you've picked up all these rules and requirements from everywhere, and none of them even go together. They're all in conflict with each other, but you still take them all personally and try to do them all. You try to stand on your head in so many different ways to be approved of, when that appreciation and love, and if you want to call it approval, has been there for you every moment of every day. You just have to look in that direction, and you can't look in that direction and in that direction at the same time. For example, recently Esther was at an airport in another city waiting for her bag on the carousel, and she was starting to recognize bags going around, which meant they probably were not putting any more bags on the carousel, or that was her flawed conclusion. So she didn't like the feeling of that, because the things in her bag she brings with them because she wants them and needs them. And then her thought went to what would happen, and then she realized, because she hadn't deviated very far, and she had a conscious thought, I feel worried. And then she thought, I can't be worried and satisfied at the same time. Which am I going to choose? Because I'm standing here, what is, but I have a choice. The bag being there or not being there does not need to control whether I'm satisfied or worried. It starts right there. Well, as it turned out, she was playful with herself. She felt worried, but she didn't want to feel worried, but her bag still wasn't there. So because she chose to feel satisfaction, she is still in the receiving mode, and she remembered a childhood game. It's silly, maybe you played it. She remembers everyone's in a circle, little kids at a birthday party, and the game is, and the doggy won't bite you, and it won't bite you, and you have a handkerchief, and the doggy won't bite you, and he won't bite you, and he won't bite you, but he will bite you. And then you drop the hanky, and then you run, and that person has to get the hanky and catch you before you get around the circle. Really a fun game if you're 4 or 5. So Esther is playing that at the carousel. The doggy won't bite you, and the doggy won't bite you, and the doggy won't bite you, and the doggy won't bite you. And then her bag was right there. She said, but it will bite you, and she grabbed her bag off. Now, we're not saying that she made the bag come. The bag was coming. We're just saying that she was feeling worried when she could feel satisfied, and she wanted to feel satisfied, and that's always the best choice. And even if the bag had not come, she could be satisfied because she can figure things out, and because things are always working out for her. And sometimes something not working exactly the way you think you want it to opens doors so that there are more opportunities to have more fun with more people, and you actually have a more fulfilling, more satisfying experience than if everything had gone just the way you wanted it to go. But you got to stay in the receiving mode. So at the first sign of dissatisfaction, don't let yourself go there. And what you'll begin to notice is that, oh, it's a cooperative universe, and the leverage, the attraction power that your inner being has instigated and continued to promote on your behalf is unfathomable to most humans' minds. You just can't even contemplate the bigness of the love and appreciation and knowledge that your inner being holds about your well-being. So as you begin to let yourself hang around in that vibration more, then you have way more fun, first of all, and you gain more confidence, and in that confidence comes bigger dreams and bigger creations and more opportunities for more fun. And by bigger, we don't mean as evaluated by humans. We mean more in terms of what means more to you. You're not ever not expanding. Your inner being is always expanding, and really a lot because of you. So choosing to be satisfied is like choosing to go in the direction of your expansion.
I like that.
Yeah. Something more?
I don't think so.
Really good conversation.
Very pleased.
Really good. Really good.
Thank you very much.
Really good.
Question: who am I? Am I an inner being that is here today as a human called Sandy?
Yeah.
Have I as an inner being been here before
Many times.
as Igor and Mary and
Yep.
other things?
Yep.
Am I separate from the inner being, or how does Sandy relate to inner being?
That's what we've been talking about all day here today. You can never separate yourself from your inner being. But when you pinch yourself off, you feel the discomfort of it. But you can never separate yourself. And when you have what humans call death experience, of course there is no death, you become fully that. So your inner being is this expanding consciousness, expanding largely in part to your willingness to participate out here on this leading edge, where new things occur to you and new requests, new questions occur to you that then life can satisfy. You are a consciousness in an eternal state of evolution, joyous evolution. That's who you are. And anything less than that, less than you not allowing that, just will not do.
Is our, don't know if the correct word is purpose for being here at this time in human form, that inner being grows, or somehow Sandy grows? What is the process going on here?
The purpose was the question that you asked. The purpose is joyful expansion, with emphasis on the joyful, because the expansion is inevitable. Because things that exist are relating to each other, and law of attraction is promoting the relationships, the relativity. And so expansion is a given. We like to explain it that you had a triad of intentions when you came, of freedom and growth and joy. You are so free you can choose bondage. You're so free you can choose satisfaction or not satisfaction, and then what follows. So you're so free you can choose bondage. Expansion is inevitable, but joy is the choice. So when you get that joy factor into the equation, then it all starts lining up for you.
So the inner being enjoys its joyfulness, or I guess we are the inner being enjoying the joyfulness.
You are. Those are perfect words that you just said. We'll expand on them. You're in a moment in time, you've been meditating or listening to something, music, listening to something, and you have no resistance within you. And when there's no resistance, you're not holding the cork under the water anymore. It just floats right up to the surface. So your vibration rises and you are in vibrational equivalency with your inner being. So in that moment, you and your inner being are one. There's no separation between you. And so now, as your inner being thinks thoughts, those thoughts are your thoughts, and your thoughts are your thoughts. And so when you find pleasure in something, whose pleasure is it? When you feel excited about something, a discovery of something, do you know that it's your inner being's involvement in and awareness in what you are about? In the same way that you take pleasure from watching children expand and so forth, only it's so much bigger. When you focus on someone and you feel love, that's the whole of you having that experience. It's the compounding of you with you with you with you with you. But if you were to focus on something where instead of love you felt defiance or dissatisfaction or even hate, that's you making a choice that your inner being didn't make, and you therefore causing separation is too strong a word, but you therefore not allowing you to be you for that moment in time.
Do you know my inner being? Do they party with you?
Yep. Yep. We all hang around together.
You hang around together.
That's why you feel resonance. And we are not the only. Esther in this situation is not only example of an inner being who romps and plays with yours. We're not putting it into that framework. But yes, when you feel resonance with something, it's because there is a vibrational match. That resonance meaning that good feeling, sort of homecoming. Yeah.
What are your parties like? Do you have joy?
Well, we hold every one of our parties on planet Earth with you all. Hear it. You are an extension of that which we are. And oh, this is a much bigger question than you even know that you're asking. The leading edge is here where you are. Where do you think your inner being is most interested in focusing? On the leading edge, out there where you are, out there where the discovery is, out there where the new is. So you're out here and you discover something new and you launch the rocket, and your inner being rides that rocket and feels it and knows it and revels in it. But then as a human, often you don't keep riding the rocket. You defend launching the rocket and you justify the need for the rocket of desire. But most humans, as they launch their rockets, I need more money. You put in the request for more money, but you stand in justification of needing the money by pointing out why you need the money. So your inner being kept going in the direction of something that you created, and maybe you did and maybe you didn't. So that's what our entire conversation is about every time we get together with any of you, is to help you to first understand that your inner being exists, and what your relationship with your inner being is, and that your emotions really tell you everything about your moment by moment by moment by moment relationship with your inner being, and that everything in your awareness, the things that matter to you, it's always and only about your vibrational mix. How much of who I really am I allowing to be here in this moment, and how much is this moment asking for improvement? There's those dynamics going on all the time. So here you are, oh bless your hearts, here you are willing to be out here on the leading edge, finding new stuff for the expansion of the universe. Thank you so much for doing that. The entire non-physical universe is thanking you so much for your willingness to do that. So that's one big dynamic that is going on. You causing expansion of the universe by your willingness to be out here on this leading edge, refining and fine-tuning and asking for more. So now you've launched the rocket, and now your inner being is all over that new and improved you. In fact, your inner being rode that rocket and became that more prosperous person that your contrast caused you to ask for. Your inner being became it in the moment you ask. The question is, how long is it going to take you to catch up? You don't have to catch up. You just have to move in the direction of it to feel the joy that your inner being has in the ride that you've created and that now you are on. There are a whole lot of people who create a whole lot of wonderful expansion in this universe and don't ride it and enjoy it while they're in their physical body. But when they make their transition into non-physical, they feel the power and the wonderfulness of what they've lived. We just don't think you should have to croak to get in on it. We think that you should be able to identify it and launch it, and yeah, it feels unfamiliar to you, but that doesn't feel good, and that feels unfamiliar, but that doesn't feel good. The absence of it doesn't feel good. So then you begin to choose. We've not said these words before. You choose what feels better over what feels familiar. That's the ticket right there. You choose what feels better over what feels familiar. And then if you do that enough, that what feels better begins to feel what's familiar. And so what's familiar, what's normal for you, what's chronic within you, what your knee-jerk reaction is love. So someone is defensive, and instead of you having your knee-jerk defensive response that is normal for humans, you don't get defensive because you know it's not about you. You stay in your vibration of love and knowing and upliftment. You're not throwing any fuel on that fire, and so it dissipates, and law of attraction doesn't match you up with much of that because that's not where you hang out in this vibrational universe. So life just gets better and better and better for you, but still there will always be more contrast that causes you to ask for more. There will always, as long as you are in this physical body, be a gap between what you've asked for and what you're completely allowing. Because as soon as you allow that, you've launched another rocket, and as soon as you allow that, you've launched another. So there's always going to be this gap that your inner being is carrying you through, but your inner being, that non-physical part of you, never experiences the gap. And that's what you said you would do. I'll experience the gap enough to identify an improvement. And your inner being said, and the moment you do, we'll focus upon it. And you said, and I'll get back to the improvement as quick as I can, but I'm going to be human, and so I'm going to be over there with the humans doing what the humans do. And your inner being says, we know you are, and we'll be here. We're eternally here for you, and whenever you're ready, you can just look in the direction of us and you will find us, because our love will always be there for you to find. And that's the distinction that we've been making with the humans that you want to love you so much. Their love is not always there for you to find. They want it to be, but sometimes you look and it isn't there because they're not connected to that which is love. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. But if your inner being is always there in that state of love and knowing, and you're reaching in that direction and hooking up with it often, now you're that, inspiring others to that, doesn't it feel good to feel good? Doesn't it feel good to revel in the magnificence of what you and others are? Mm-hmm. Yeah.